The Orange Lodge and similar organizations, a comprehensive analysis of history, structure, and geopolitical influence. Introduction, the fraternal landscape of Ulster Protestantism. The study of the Loyal Orange Institution, LOI, universally known as the Orange Order, and its affiliated or parallel organizations, the Royal Black Institution, RBI, the Associated Clubs of the Apprentice Boys of Derry, ABOD, and the Independent Loyal Orange Institution, ILOI, is not merely an examination of fraternal societies. It is an exploration of the structural backbone of Ulster Unionism, the British imperial diaspora, and the theological defense of the Reformed faith in the British Isles. While often perceived by external observers as a monolithic entity of Orangism, these organizations represent a complex, stratified ecosystem of brotherhoods, each with distinct histories, initiation rites, governance structures, and varying degrees of political engagement. Founded in the agrarian turbulence of late 18th century Ireland, the Orange Order emerged as a bulwark for the Protestant ascendancy, sworn to defend the constitutional settlement established by the Glorious Revolution of 1688. However, the institution's influence rapidly transcended the narrow confines of County Armagh. By the late 19th century, it had metastasized into a transnational fraternal empire, acting as a decisive political force in the Dominion of Canada, establishing indigenous lodges in West Africa, and maintaining a tenacious, if smaller, presence in the United States and Australia. This report provides an exhaustive analysis of these organizations. It dissects the internal hierarchy that binds the private lodge to the Imperial Grand Council. It investigates the controversial higher degrees and their alleged Masonic origins. It chronicles the schisms that birthed the Independent Orange Order and the Marymount Manifesto, and it evaluates the contemporary existential crisis facing these bodies in a rapidly secularizing United Kingdom. Through this detailed lens, we reveal how a localized agrarian defense pact evolved into one of the most significant and controversial fraternal movements in the history of the British Commonwealth. 2. The historical and constitutional bedrock. 2.1 The Glorious Revolution and the Williamite Tradition. To understand the Orange Order, one must first understand the constitutional trauma of the 17th century. The organization's entire raison d'etre is the commemoration and maintenance of the victory of William III, Prince of Orange, over the Catholic King James II in the Williamite-Jacobite War of 1689 to 1691. This conflict was not merely a dynastic struggle but a clash of civilizations, Protestant parliamentarism versus Catholic absolutism. The victory at the Battle of the Boyne, 1690, and the subsequent Treaty of Limerick secured the Protestant succession to the British throne. This settlement was codified in two seminal documents that remain sacred to the Orange tradition: the Bill of Rights, 1689, and the Act of Settlement, 1701. These statutes established that it is inconsistent with the safety and welfare of this Protestant kingdom to be governed by a popish prince. Consequently, the law mandated that no Roman Catholic, nor anyone married to a Roman Catholic, could hold the crown. The Orange Order views itself as the custodian of this constitutional architecture. Its members pledge not only loyalty to the monarch but specifically to the Protestant monarchy. This conditional loyalty maintained only so long as the monarch upholds the Protestant faith, is a recurring theme in Orange history, surfacing most recently in friction between the Order and King Charles III regarding his ecumenical engagements. 2.2 The Battle of the Diamond and the founding of the Order. The immediate catalyst for the formation of the Orange Order was not high politics but low-level agrarian warfare. In the late 18th century, County Armagh was a patchwork of sectarian rivalries, with Protestant Peapod boys skirmishing with Catholic defenders over land rights and economic competition in the linen trade. Tensions culminated on September 21, 1795, at a crossroads known as the Diamond, near Loch Gool. A skirmish ensued, known as the Battle of the Diamond, which resulted in a decisive victory for the Protestant faction. In the immediate aftermath, amidst the smoking thatch of the battlefield, the victors retired to James Sloane's Inn in Loch Gool and swore an oath of mutual defense, formally constituting the Loyal Orange Institution. Unlike previous loose agrarian bands, this new society was structured, disciplined, and destined for expansion. By 1798, the Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland was established in Dublin to coordinate the burgeoning network of lodges. The rebellion of 1798 further cemented the order's utility to the British state. Orange yeomanry played a critical, often brutal, role in suppressing the United Irishmen uprising, thereby fusing the definition of loyalist with Orangeman in the eyes of the British administration. 3. The Loyal Orange Institution, Structure and Governance. 3.1 The Federal Hierarchy. The organizational genius of the Orange Order lies in its federal structure, which balances local autonomy with centralized command. This structure was so robust that it is widely cited as the model for the governmental system of Canada. The hierarchy ascends through 4 distinct tiers, each acting as an electoral college for the one above it. Table 1. The hierarchical structure of the Orange Order. Level, designation, function and composition. Tier 1, Private Lodge, LOL, the foundational unit. Members meet monthly, elect their own worshipful master, secretary, and treasurer. It is here that initiation occurs and dues are collected. Tier 2, District Lodge, composed of the offices, master, deputy master, etc., of several private lodges within a specific town or rural area. It manages local parades and adjudicates disputes between lodges. Tier 3, County Grand Lodge, composed of representatives from the district lodges within a county. It coordinates county-wide demonstrations, such as the major 12th of July parades. Tier 4, Grand Orange Lodge, the supreme body for a national jurisdiction, e.g., Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland, Grand Orange Lodge of Canada. It sets constitutional law, manages high-level political strategy, and issues warrants for new lodges. Above these national bodies sits the Imperial Grand Orange Council of the World, a triennial consultative assembly that brings together Grand Masters from Ireland, Scotland, England, Canada, the USA, West Africa, and Australia, New Zealand to discuss global strategy. 3.2 Membership qualifications and the exclusionary rule. Membership is strictly limited to those of the Protestant faith. However, the definition of Protestant typically encompasses the Trinitarian Reformed denominations, Anglican, Presbyterian, Methodist. The applicant must profess a belief in the Holy Trinity and the inspiration of the Holy Scriptures. The most controversial aspect of the Orange Constitution is its exclusionary bylaws regarding Roman Catholicism. These rules are not merely social preferences but enforceable constitutional statutes. Asterisk the marriage bar. A member who marries a Roman Catholic is subject to immediate expulsion. The laws state unequivocally, any member marrying a Roman Catholic shall be expelled. This rule serves to enforce endogamy within the Protestant community, viewing intermarriage as a dilution of the Reformed witness and a threat to the Protestant demographic base. Asterisk attendance at Catholic worship. Members are historically forbidden from countenancing any act or ceremony of popish worship. In the modern era, this has led to significant internal friction. Between 1964 and 2002, 11% of all expulsions from the order were triggered by members attending Catholic religious services, including the funerals of friends or the baptisms of relatives. While many private lodges now exercise a "don't ask, don't tell" policy regarding funeral attendance, the rule remains on the books, periodically surfacing in disciplinary hearings that attract negative media attention. 3.3 The Lodge as a social hub. Beyond its political and religious functions, the private lodge acts as a vital social anchor, particularly in rural Ulster. The Orange Hall is often the center of community life, hosting dances, band practices, and credit unions. In this capacity, the order functions similarly to the Rotary Club or Lions Club, but with a sectarian membership criteria. This dual nature, part community center, part sectarian fortress, complicates the sociological analysis of the movement. IV, rituals, degrees, and the Masonic connection. 4.1 The debate. Christian simplicity versus bastardized Masonry. The ritualistic content of the loyal orders is a subject of intense debate. The Orange Order officially claims that its rituals are based on Old Testament Christian simplicity and are devoid of the esoteric paganism they attribute to Freemasonry. However, historians and critics, including Freemasons themselves, argue that the Orange Order is structurally a derivative of Freemasonry, or what some have termed a bastardization of Freemasonry. The similarities are undeniable. The use of the term lodge the wearing of regalia, sashes, aprons, collarets, the system of passwords and grips, and the progression through degrees are all Masonic in form, if not in content. 4.2 The primary degrees. The Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland officially recognizes only 2 degrees. These form the basic catechesis of the Orangeman. The Orange degree. This is the entry-level degree. It introduces the candidate to the history of the Williamite campaign and the deliverance of the Protestant people. The biblical typology is drawn from the Passover and the Exodus, casting the Ulster Protestants as the Israelites escaping the bondage of Egypt, symbolizing Catholicism, James II. The plain purple degree. The second degree advances the narrative to the giving of the law on Mount Sinai and the establishment of the tabernacle. It emphasizes discipline, order, and the maintenance of the true religion in the wilderness. However, the ritual journey of an ambitious Orangeman rarely ends here. To progress to the senior organizations, he must pass through a third, officially unrecognized, degree, the Royal Arch Purple. The Royal Arch Purple, the Bridge and the Goat. 5.1 An unrecognized prerequisite. The Royal Arch Purple, RAP, exists in a constitutional grey zone. The Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland does not officially recognize it, yet it is a mandatory prerequisite for joining the Royal Black Institution. It functions as a bridge between the populism of the Orange Order and the elitism of the Black Institution. This degree is described as the longest and most detailed of the initiation rites and is often characterized as an ordeal for the candidate. 5.2 The Riding the Goat controversy. The initiation ritual of the Royal Arch Purple is the source of the persistent folklore regarding riding the goat. While the order denies the use of live animals, the phrase refers to the physical hazing that occurs during the ceremony. Based on accounts from former members and exposés, the ritual involves the candidate being blindfolded, hoodwinked, and shoeless, or slipshod. He is led through a series of symbolic obstacles representing the trials of the Israelites. Jacob's ladder. The candidate approaches a ladder or set of steps, symbolizing the ascent of faith. He is assisted in climbing these steps, which represent faith, hope, and charity. The blanket toss. At the climax of the ritual, the candidate is often placed on a representation of a coffin or a canvas sheet. He is then roughly kicked and tossed by the brethren. This physical disorientation is the origin of the term riding the goat. The password. The mystical password of the degree is the Ark of God. When the initials of the English phrase are inverted, TAOG, they spell GOAT, a linguistic pun that reinforces the folklore. Evangelical critics within the Protestant community have attacked the rap rituals as pagan and incompatible with Christianity. Authors like Paul Malcolmson have argued that these rites degrade the candidate and mock biblical solemnity, leading to calls for Protestant Reformation within the orders to purge these Masonic elements. The Royal Black Institution, the senior fraternity. 6.1 The Black, Dignity and Detachment. The Imperial Grand Black Chapter of the British Commonwealth, or simply the Royal Black Institution, RBI, is viewed as the senior of the loyal orders. Membership is exclusive. One must first be an Orangeman and have completed the Royal Arch Purple degree to be invited. If the Orange Order is the infantry of Ulster loyalism, boisterous, political, and mass-based, the Royal Black Institution views itself as the officer corps, dignified, religious, and detached from the rough and tumble of party politics. Blackmen, or Sir Knights, parade separately, typically on the last Saturday of August, distinct from the Orange, 12th of July. These parades are noted for their somber decorum and the high quality of their brass and silver bands. 6.2 The Ladder of Degrees. The RBI is a deeply ritualistic body, possessing a hierarchy of 11 degrees that structure the spiritual progression of the Sir Knight. Each degree is an interactive, mystery play, based on Old Testament scripture, designed to impart a moral lesson. Table 2, the 11 degrees of the Royal Black Institution. Degree, name, biblical, theological theme. First, Royal Black Degree, Joseph and his coat of many colors, Elijah and the prophets of Baal. Themes of betrayal and vindication. Second, Royal Scarlet Degree, Joshua, Rahab, and the Battle of Jericho. The Crimson Thread of Redemption. Third, royal mark degree, the selection of the stones for the temple. 4th, apron and royal blue, associated with the high priestly garments. 5th, royal white degree, symbolizing purity and the priesthood. 6th, royal green degree, often associated with Noah and the ark, the olive branch. 7th, gold degree, the glory of Solomon's temple. 8th, star and garter, detailed Levitical priesthood symbolism. 9th, crimson arrow, Jehu and the destruction of the house of Ahab. 10th, link and chain, the bond of brotherhood, Ezekiel's vision. Pipe. 11th, red cross degree, the ultimate degree. The banner depicts the red cross and the motto in hoc signo vinces. In this sign, conquer. Focuses on the resurrection and the Crusader tradition. The sheer complexity of these degrees requires a high level of commitment from members, reinforcing the RBI's status as an elite body for the super-Protestant. 7. The Apprentice Boys of Derry, the siege mentality. 7.1 A distinct lineage. Frequently conflated with the Orange Order, the Apprentice Boys of Derry, ABOD, is a distinct legal and historical entity. While the Orange Order commemorates the Battle of the Boyne, 1690, the ABOD commemorates the Siege of Derry, 1689, and specifically the act of the 13 apprentices who shut the Ferry Quay Gate against the Catholic forces of Earl Antrim. This distinction is crucial. The Boyne was a field battle involving professional armies. The Siege of Derry was a civilian defense of a walled city. Consequently, the ethos of the Apprentice Boys is more focused on no surrender and the defense of the citadel. 7.2 The Associated Clubs structure. Unlike the Orange Order's Federal Lodge system, the ABOD is structurally anchored to the geography of Londonderry. The organization is governed by the General Committee of the Associated Clubs of the Apprentice Boys of Derry. The structure is based on 8 parent clubs, named after the heroes of the siege. To be a member of the organization anywhere in the world, one must belong to a branch club that is affiliated with one of these 8 parent clubs. The 8 parent clubs. Apprentice Boys, the Primal Club, Walker Club, named after Governor George Walker, Michelburn Club, Colonel John Michelburn, No Surrender Club. Browning Club, Captain Browning of the relief ship Mountjoy, Baker Club, Colonel Henry Baker, Campsie Club, Henry Campsie, one of the 13 apprentices, Murray Club, Adam Murray, a cavalry commander. 7.3 Initiation within the walls. A defining feature of the ABOD is the requirement for initiation within the walls. While a branch club in Belfast, Glasgow, or Toronto can conduct business, a new member is not considered fully initiated until they have travelled to Londonderry and undergone the ceremony inside the city's historic walls, typically at the Apprentice Boys Memorial Hall. This requirement creates a pilgrimage dynamic. Every August, for the Relief of Derry Parade, and December, for the shutting of the gates, thousands of members converge on the city. This physical connection to the territory of Londonderry makes the ABOD uniquely sensitive to the politics of that city, more so than the diffuse Orange Order. 8. Schism and Dissent, the Independent Orange Order. 8.1 The 1903 Split, Class and Politics. The Independent Loyal Orange Institution, ILOI, formed in 1903 following a bitter schism within the main order. The split was driven by class conflict and dissatisfaction with the order's subservience to the Ulster Unionist Party, UUP, elite. Thomas Sloane, a Belfast shipyard worker and populist orator, challenged the Grand Master, Colonel Saunderson, during a demonstration at Castlereagh. Sloane accused the aristocratic leadership of failing to defend Protestant working-class interests, specifically regarding the Inspection of Convent Laundries Bill. When Sloane was suspended for his insubordination, he and his supporters seceded to form the Independent Order. 8.2 The Marymount Manifesto. In 1904, the new Independent Order issued the Marymount Manifesto, written by Imperial Grand Master R. Lindsay Crawford. This document remains one of the most fascinating what-ifs in Irish history. It explicitly invited Irish Protestants to reconsider their position as Irish citizens, and extended a hand of friendship to Roman Catholics, criticizing the UUP leadership for using sectarianism to divide the working class. For a brief moment, independent Orangism, aligned with a form of Labour-oriented Irish nationalism. However, the polarisation of the Home Rule crisis destroyed this middle ground. Crawford was expelled in 1908, and the independent order retreated into a hardline, fundamentalist unionism. 8.3 Modern fundamentalism. Today, the independent Orange Order is smaller than the parent body, concentrated heavily in North Antrim, the Bible Belt, of Ulster. It is characterized by its close association with the Free Presbyterian Church and the legacy of Reverend Ian Paisley. Unlike the main order, which occasionally attempts public relations exercises, the ILOI maintains a rigid theological stance. In 2023-2024, the ILOI was vociferous in its condemnation of King Charles III for meeting with the Pope, issuing statements criticizing the monarch for betraying his coronation oath. This illustrates the ILOI's position as the conscience of fundamentalist loyalism, prioritizing theological purity over political expediency. X. The Global Empire, Orangism in the Commonwealth. 9.1 Canada, the Orange State. Nowhere outside Ulster did Orangism achieve greater power than in Canada. For a century, 1850 to 1950, the Orange Order was arguably the most powerful political machine in the Dominion. Political hegemony. 4 Canadian prime ministers, including Sir John A. Macdonald, the father of Confederation, were Orangemen. Municipal control. Toronto was notoriously dubbed the Belfast of Canada. Between 1844 and 1900, 20 out of 23 mayors were members of the Order. The Order controlled the police force, the fire brigade, and municipal patronage. The British connection. The Order served as the primary vehicle for British imperial identity in Canada, fiercely opposing French Catholic influence and republicanism from the USA. It was instrumental in the suppression of the 1837 rebellions and the Red River Resistance led by Louis Riel. The decline, the collapse of Canadian Orangism was precipitous. The rise of the welfare state removed the need for its fraternal mutual aid network. Secularization eroded its religious base. By the 1970s, it had ceased to be a political force, surviving now only as a small historical society. 9.2 West Africa, the Indigenous Lodges. A unique chapter in Orange history is its expansion into West Africa, specifically Ghana and Togo. Unlike lodges in the White Dominions, Australia, NZ, Canada, which were diasporic communities of Scots-Irish immigrants, the West African lodges are largely indigenous. Togo. The Order arrived in Togo during World War I when British forces invaded German Togoland in 1914. Orange Brethren among the troops established the first lodges. These lodges took root among the local population and survived the transfer of colonial authority. Indigenization. In 1994, Emmanuel Aboki Essien became the first African imperial president of the Imperial Council, signaling that in this region, Orangism had successfully decoupled its theology from whiteness. These lodges function primarily as Christian fraternities, distinct from the sectarian politics of Belfast. 9.3 United States and Australia. United States. The Order has maintained a continuous but limited presence since the early 19th century. Its growth was stunted by the rapid assimilation of Protestant immigrants and violent clashes with Irish Catholic immigrants, such as the infamous Orange Riots in New York, 1870 to 1871. Today, lodges exist in states like Pennsylvania, New York, and California, but they remain marginal. Australia. The Order grew in the 19th century as a vehicle for British loyalty, but never achieved the dominance it held in Canada. Recent reports suggest a slight revival in interest, potentially linked to a resurgence in conservative cultural politics, but it remains a minor player compared to its Canadian heyday. Comparative fraternalism, friends and rivals. 10.1 The Ancient Order of Hibernians, AOH. The Ancient Order of Hibernians serves as the sociological mirror image of the Orange Order. Often called the Green Orangemen, the AOH is a Catholic, nationalist fraternity that adopted the lodge structure, regalia, sashes and collarets, and parading traditions of its Protestant rivals. Historically, the AOH was the political machine of the Constitutional Irish Parliamentary Party, the Home Rule Party. Just as the Orange Order was linked to the Unionist Party, the AOH was the muscle for leaders like Joe Devlin. However, The rise of militant republicanism, Sinn Féin and the IRA, in 1916 sidelined the AOH, which was viewed as too moderate and old-fashioned. Today, the AOH persists, particularly in the US and rural Ulster, but with significantly less influence than the Orange Order. 10.2 The Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes, RAOB. The RAOB, or the Buffs, represents the non-sectarian, working-class strand of British fraternalism. While it shares the lodge structure and some ritualistic elements with the Orange Order, it lacks the religious and political exclusionism. The RAOB historically served as a purely convivial and charitable benefit society for the working man, often described as a poor man's Freemasonry, without the esoteric pretensions or sectarian baggage. 10.3 The Protestant Knights of Malta. In Northern Ireland, a specific branch of the Knights of Malta exists as a Protestant fraternal order. This group is distinct from the Catholic Sovereign Military Order of Malta. The Protestant Knights are closely aligned with the independent Orange Order and function effectively as a companion body, sharing membership and marching bands. They claim a lineage to the Hospitallers but operate firmly within the Reformed tradition. 11. Contemporary challenges and future outlook. 11.1 The secular squeeze. The primary threat to the Orange Order today is not Irish republicanism, but secularization. The Order's constitution pledges it to defend the Protestant Reformed faith. In a society where church attendance is collapsing and religious identity is becoming fluid, the Order's rigid theology acts as a barrier to recruitment. The organization is caught in a pincer movement. Too religious for the secular. For young, secular pro-unionists, the Order's ban on attending Catholic funerals and its Sabbatarian rules are seen as archaic and embarrassing. Too political for the religious. For serious evangelicals, the Masonic rituals of the Royal Arch Purple and the boisterous, alcohol-fueled culture of some band parades are seen as unchristian. 11.2 The King Charles III crisis. The relationship between the loyal orders and the Crown is undergoing a historic strain. The loyal Orange institution has always been conditional on the monarch being a Protestant defender. King Charles III, with his interest in interfaith dialogue and his meetings with the Pope, has alienated the fundamentalist wing of the movement. The letters of complaint sent by Orange leaders to the palace in 2024 highlight a growing rift. The Order finds itself in the paradoxical position of being more loyalist than the king himself, defending a 1688 conception of the monarchy that the modern royal family has largely abandoned. 11.3 Conclusion. The Orange Lodge and its sister organizations, the Royal Black, Apprentice Boys, and Independent Orange Order, remain the most significant survival of mass fraternalism in the British Isles. They are the keepers of a specific historical memory, the Whig history of liberty won through Protestant struggle. However, their future is uncertain. The Canadian scenario, total collapse due to irrelevance, looms as a possibility. To survive, these organizations must navigate the treacherous waters of the 21st century, deciding whether to retrench as a smaller, purer religious sect, the independent path, or to evolve into a broader cultural heritage organization, the Apprentice Boys path. What is certain is that the intricate network of lodges, preceptories, and clubs discussed in this report constitutes one of the most resilient, if controversial, social structures in the history of the English-speaking world.